In this segment, we're going to talk about transformation in both the manufacturing and the service operations. So let's take a look. Broadly, manufacturing and service involves the transformation and conversion of inputs into outputs through a series of processes. So let's take a look at some of the key components of this conversation. Manufacturing is a critical component in all of the supply chain and service chains, where we convert raw materials, energy, labor into finished products or consumption. The service and manufacturing process can have significant impact on the environment as well, including air, water pollution, waste generation, and carbon emissions. Now, to minimize these impacts, service providers and manufacturers can adopt sustainable practices such as renewable energy sources, reducing waste, and implementing green technologies. Social impacts of service and manufacturing includes things like working conditions, employee safety, and human rights issues. Manufacturing and service providers can ensure fair labor practices, promote diversity, inclusion, support local communities which want to address these issues as well. Now, there's governance considerations as well, such as transparency, ethical behavior, and legal compliance. So manufacturing and service providers must adhere to regulations and industry standards to ensure compliance and maintain the trust of their stakeholders as well. Now, the triple bottom line is a framework for measuring a company's performance based on three pillars: economic, social, and environmental. And these same service and manufacturing providers can impact all three pillars of the triple bottom line. And companies must strive to achieve balance and sustainability across all these areas, as well as profitability. Sustainable manufacturing practices can lead to economic benefits also, such as increased efficiency, reduced waste, improved brand reputation, and these can benefit stakeholders and consumers in the long run. In the next slide, we look at why this is important as well. So here's some key points regarding why it's important in terms of transformation and converting these same inputs into outputs, but from an ESG, environmental, social, and governance, and a triple bottom line perspective. So service and manufacturing is a critical link in the supply chain because it transforms raw materials into finished products that can be sold to consumers. The service and manufacturing process involves converting things such as raw materials, labor, into finished goods. Manufacturing can have a significant impact on ESG and TBL as well. Environmental impacts can include pollution, waste, carbon emissions. Social impacts can include working conditions, human rights, and governance considerations can include ethical behavior, legal compliance, and transparency. So it's important to address these as all in the transformation process. Sustainable practices can help minimize the negative impact, for example, using renewable energy sources, reducing waste, implementing green technologies, and environmental impacts. Fair labor practices, diversity, inclusion initiatives, they all address social impacts. Let's not forget that manufacturing is also a key driver of economic growth and development by providing employment opportunities and contributing to gross domestic product. It's also critical to innovation, allowing for the creation of new products, technologies, and services. And organizations that prioritize sustainable practices will gain a competitive advantage. They'll improve their brand reputation, which can benefit stakeholders in the long run. So from an impact standpoint, there's positive and negative impacts to this. Manufacturing and service has a positive impact by implementing the sustainable practices. They can contribute to the social development by providing employment opportunities and supporting local communities. And from a governance consideration, transparency, ethical behavior, legal compliance can be enhanced by adhering to the regulations and industry standards. From a negative standpoint, when we look at the negative aspect, fundamentally by not doing any of the above. So manufacturing does not manage pollution and waste. So societally, we have poor working conditions, human rights violations, lack of diversity, and from a governance, unethical behavior, non-compliance with regulations, and lack of transparency. So overall, service and manufacturing has the potential to impact all three, economic, social, environmental, both positively and negatively. So it's important for companies to prioritize sustainable practices, adhere to regulations, industry standards, if they want to minimize the negative and maximize the positive.